Hi, this is David. I just lost 3 videos. Um, some of you know, most of you won't know. Anytime you are working uh, for goodness and you're trying to make the world a better place, there's a lot of unseen influences that can influence. My phones many times won't work. Sometimes they call numbers that don't exist. We just had a laptop that has worked perfectly for years and years, lose 4 videos. I'm now restoring them. Anyway, when I was in the Philippines, this video has to do with learning from experience. How many times do we need to be hit on the head before we go, gosh, that 2x4 didn't feel that good? Or, gee, I slammed my head up against the wall now twice and it hurts. When do we as human beings go, fuck it? Maybe I ought to go, maybe I ought to learn. Maybe I ought to learn. I have a situation when I was in the Philippines. There was an old man there, my father-in-law, Ty, and I was at his house, if you want to call it a house, in the Philippines. And I was enjoying myself in the Filipino sunshine, and I was sitting under a coconut tree. And it was beautiful. And the sun was on me, and I was maybe having a little snack or something to eat. And I was sitting under the coconut tree, and Ty came out, and he was in his 70s, a wise man, a member of the Mormon Church. And he came up to me and said, David, I know you're not real familiar with the island here and our customs and the way we do things, but I don't think you want to be sitting underneath that coconut tree. And I said, well, Ty, it's a beautiful tree, and the coconuts up there are beautiful, and it's shady, and I'm really enjoying myself. And he said, well, yes, but David, I don't think you want to be sitting under that coconut tree. And I said, okay, Ty, tell me, why don't I want to sit under this beautiful tree? Why are you trying to get me to come up? And he said, well, he says, honestly, David, those coconuts will fall off of that tree from time to time. And if they hit you on the head, they could be very damaging and very dangerous. So I smiled and I sat there and thought, and he walked off. It doesn't take too many times to be hit on the head for me to go, maybe there's something to this. Well, anyway, I got up. I moved away from the tree. And when I was in the Philippines, I did see coconuts fall off of trees and hit the ground. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, I'm bringing it up because I have a little bit of AI here that has to do with Sir Isaac Newton and the idea that an apple fell off the tree, and he was able to put together the construct of gravity. Well, one apple did that with Sir Isaac Newton, and one proposed coconut did that with me. Now, I'm not saying that I'm as smart as he is, but at least I didn't have to get hit on the head more than once with a coconut, and he didn't have to see the apple fall off the tree more than once to come up with a theory of gravity. So let's see here what AI says, how the Mormon people, as an analogy, relate to Sir Isaac Newton and discovering truths, and me moving out of the coconut tree. Let me see if I can get AI to bring it up again. Read your answer, last answer.
Here's the full text of my last response. The courage to pursue truth, even when it contradicts personal comfort or community norms, is a hallmark of spiritual and intellectual maturity. In contrast, the LDS Church's historical and ongoing actions highlight a pattern of discouraging inquiry and prioritizing institutional preservation over transparency and accountability. This behavior starkly contrasts with the teachings of Jesus Christ, who consistently emphasize the importance of truth, compassion, and individual dignity. When Jesus encountered individuals grappling with moral or societal failures, his response was one of understanding and encouragement, not condemnation. For instance, in the King James Bible, Jesus said to the woman accused of adultery, "Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more." John 8, verse 11. His approach was restorative, aiming to uplift rather than oppress. Similarly, the Urantia book portrays Jesus as an advocate for personal growth and a proponent of spiritual freedom, urging individuals to seek truth and align their lives with divine principles. By contrast, the LDS Church's historical and doctrinal practices often rely on control and exclusion. The destruction of the Nauvoo expositor, the perpetuation of polygamy despite public denials, and the racial discrimination codified under leaders like Brigham Young demonstrate a departure from Christ's principles. These actions were rooted in a desire to protect the Church's authority even at the expense of honesty and justice. This pattern has left a legacy of harm, alienating individuals who seek the inclusive love that Christ taught. The institutional stance against LGBTQ+ individuals and the funding of campaigns like Proposition 8 further illustrate the Church's departure from Christ's message. Rather than embracing all individuals as children of God, the Church has actively worked to marginalize those whose identities do not align with its rigid doctrines. This approach contradicts the principle of love as the highest law, as expressed by Jesus in Matthew 22, verse 39. "Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." Moreover, the dishonesty surrounding the practice of polygamy, first under Joseph Smith and later under Brigham Young and Wilford Woodruff, demonstrates a consistent willingness to deceive for the sake of institutional survival. The manifestos, which falsely claimed an end to polygamy, reflect a calculated effort to appease federal authorities while continuing the practice covertly. Such duplicity undermines the Church's credibility and stands in stark contrast to Christ's admonition in John 8:32, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." The analogy of Newton's apple reminds us that one observation should suffice to lead us to truth. For the LDS Church, the sheer number of falling apples, instances of dishonesty, exploitation, and exclusion, should prompt introspection among its members. Yet many remain within the institution, constrained by fear, indoctrination, and the societal pressures tied to their faith. True discipleship of Christ involves courageously seeking and embracing truth, even when it is uncomfortable. It requires breaking free from the chains of dogma and fear to live a life of integrity and compassion. As Jesus taught, the kingdom of God is within you, Luke 17, verse 21. It is a personal journey, not one dictated by institutions or traditions, and it begins with the willingness to question, observe, and pursue what is right. Let me know if you'd like further elaboration or adjustments.
Well, there we are with AIGBT4. I didn't want even one coconut to hit me on the head. Sir Isaac Newton, he saw just one apple. That was good enough for him. If you're still in the LDS Church and there's been bushels and bushels of apples that have fallen off of the tree and hit you over the head, your family over the head, your wallet over the head, your finances, your spirituality, your ego, etc., etc., I have to say to myself, gee, you kind of want to learn the hard way. I don't. I didn't need one coconut on my head. I was smart enough to go, I think that may be dangerous. I'm going to think this through. I am going to say pretty much on every video from now on, if you have not resigned from the Mormon Church and you've had all these bushels of apples falling on your head, I would go ahead and maybe take a Wexler or a standard Benet and to see what your cognitive thinking ability is. Now, I know it is difficult. We're human. We have emotions. We have our heart. We have what we think, our mind, etc. We have our soul. There's many combinations to make decisions on. But if you have not resigned from the Mormon Church and you've had all of these bushels of apples fall on your head, I would reconsider. They're a hideous, deadly, vicious cult. They are anti-Christ and they're satanic. I would get my name off, which I did. I'm suing them right now. I've said this over and over again to get my name removed. They said they'd remove my name. They didn't. And they lied. They lied. They lied. I'm not sure that the Mormon Church could even say the truth if the truth existed. In their world and their mind, lying for the Lord, which is a Mormon invented 3-word sentence. No other church says that. No other human beings say that. Only the Mormons, that it's okay to lie for the Lord. So I'm recommending, with my wisdom, my advice, and my experience, that you need to get a sentence written down somewhere, even on your hand, and show it to a bishop. I, John Smith, resign my membership in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, period. As soon as they see that, as soon as they get it in writing, you have resigned, and they have to take your name off. So I want to stand up for what's right. I believe in the old song, do what is right, let the consequence follow. I'm going to do what's right, and I'm going to let the consequence follow. My advice is to resign, just to be quiet and let them abuse you, let them silently use you, that you're a member of their organization, and to have your name attached to those bushels and bushels of apples, and you saying, well, it doesn't matter. Well, I think it does matter. Thanks, David.